We get questions a lot about whether or not somebody has a food allergy or a food sensitivity. So today I want to dive into that topic. We're going to talk a little bit about the differences between the two and what's going on. And then I'm going to dive into a little bit about what you can do about food sensitivities. So let's talk about the symptoms of a food allergy. They are immediate. They happen within 1 to 2 minutes or within a few hours of consuming something. And some of your most common symptoms are going to be hives or itching, swelling of the throat, tongue, lips, or face, wheezing, trouble breathing, dizziness, lightheadedness, tingling, burning in the mouth, nausea, diarrhea, and abdominal pain. We call these an IgE-mediated immune response. And you'll see down here that I put for the E to remember emergency. A food allergy is typically more of an emergency situation. Now, food sensitivity, common symptoms for those, there's an extensive list here. So we have things like joint pain and mucus or having to clear the throat a lot, sinus congestion or a runny nose, postnasal drip. Dark circles under the eyes is a big one. Fatigue, headaches, brain fog, nausea, vomiting, stomach pain, and gas are common symptoms of a food sensitivity. And a food sensitivity is an IgG-mediated immune response. And with the G, we think gut. So those are the differences between the symptoms that happen with them. A food allergy is immediate. A food sensitivity can take up to 3 days sometimes, or even longer to see the effects of. It can happen the next day, within 3 days. But usually those are not as severe and they take longer. Now let's talk about what's going on with the gut, because with food sensitivities, there's always issues with the gut. So when we look at this here, we have our gut lining, which is 1 cell thick. And when we have something called leaky gut, these tight junctions get inflamed and they separate. And these food particles, organisms, toxins get into our bloodstream. And then our body has an immune response. So if we have food particles floating in our bloodstream, our body is going to have an immune reaction. That is the IgG reaction that we were talking about, the food sensitivity reaction. So let's talk about what can you do if you have a food sensitivity. Now, if you have a true food allergy, you need to make sure that you have a plan in place in case you are ever accidentally ingesting that. A lot of people need an EpiPen. Definitely visit with your doctor about that if you have a true allergy, which would be an IgE-mediated immune response. But let's talk about what we can do if we have a food sensitivity. My top tip, if you have a food sensitivity, because we just learned about the gut and what's going on there, is an elimination diet process and working on repairing the gut. Sometimes when we do an elimination diet, we do gut repair, people are able to tolerate foods that they were maybe not once able to tolerate. Now, if all of that is not working, you've tried an elimination diet, you've reintroduced foods, you still can't figure out what's going on, which sometimes is the case for people. The next step then would be allergy testing. Now, we have clients that come to us with really extensive allergy testing, and a lot of them are looking at those IgE, which are a straight food allergy or a food allergy for sure, but a lot of them also are the IgG mediated. Remember IgG, gut? So when we have something going on with the gut, sometimes allergy testing can be a good tool. But remember that allergy testing like that is just a snapshot in time. And so we can take that snapshot in time and we can maybe let go of some of those things or eliminate some of those things that are causing an immune response so that you can work on healing your gut. Sometimes that is a necessary step. But my number one tip for food sensitivities is doing an elimination diet to find out what truly doesn't work for you and doing gut repair simultaneously. So I hope you learned something about the difference between food allergies and food sensitivities. And as always, if you're needing support with something like this in your life, we are here to help.